What's up YouTube? I'm Faded Phoenix, bringing you part 2 of Forgotten and Unknown Pokemon abilities. If you're new and you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you go check that out. Links in the description. In part 1, I covered abilities that started with the letters A through L. Today, I'm going to finish the alphabet of Forgotten abilities with ones that start with M through Z. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Let's pick up where we were left off last time and start with the ability Motor Drive. This is an ability that raises the user's speed if hit with an electric type move. The Pokemon that get this ability are Electivire, one of my favorite Pokemon, Blitzle, Substrika, and Emolga. This ability is useful to an extent, but usually the Pokemon that possess it run their other abilities in competitive play, at least from what I've seen. Emolga might run Motor Drive, but honestly I wouldn't know. I don't see it used too much. Blitzle and Substrika run Sap Sipper from my experience, usually to swap into Leech Seeders and Spore users. More useful than raising their already high speed. Lastly, Electivire runs Vital Spirit, so it can't be put to sleep. This is 9 times out of 10. Kind of ironic, huh? Electivire is one of my favorite Pokemon and I forgot about the ability that was exclusive to it when it was introduced. Oh well. No hard feelings, Electivire. I still love you. Moving on. Solid Rock is an ability released in Generation 4 that does the exact same thing as Filter, which, if you remember from part 1 of this list, reduces damage from super effective attacks by 25%. For the same reason as Filter, I haven't heard of this ability because too few Pokemon get it, and the ones that do hardly see any competitive use, those being Camerupt, Rhyperior, Tortuga, and Caracosta. Since it is the same as Filter though, I don't have anything else to say about it that I haven't already said about Filter, other than more Pokemon should have access to it. At least give it to Pokemon that have 4-time weaknesses like the ones that get Solid Rock. This next ability is certainly an interesting one to say the least. The signature ability of Sableye, Stall is an ability that makes the user always move last. Even in Trick Room, the user will move last every turn. Why? Why run this ability? Sableye already gets Prankster and has a Mega Evolution with Magic Bounce, both of which are infinitely better than going last all the time. The only benefit from Stall I can see is if Sableye is going for foul play on a Swords Dance user, he would outspeed normally. Other than that, I have no clue. Who uses this? Next! I've recognized how useful Suction Cups is now that I know it exists. What this ability does is that it prevents the user from switching out as an effect of an enemy's move, including Roar, Whirlwind, Dragon Tail, and Circle Throw. This seems necessary for countering those teams that set up Sage Hazards and spam moves to slowly wear down your Pokemon, as they couldn't force your Octillery, Leap, Credilli, Inkay, or Malamar to switch out. As is the case with almost every ability so far, this ability is super useful but has too limited spread to see any real competitive use, hence why I forgot about it. Sweet Veil is a fairly new ability, being introduced in Generation 6. This ability prevents the user and any ally Pokemon from falling asleep. The only inherent downside is that any Pokemon affected by this ability cannot use Rest, as Sweet Veil makes them unable to fall asleep, unless the ally Pokemon has Mold Breaker, Turbo Blaze, or Terravolt. It was the signature ability of Swirlix and Slurpuff until Generation 7 rolled around, giving Cutiefly, Ribombee, Bounsweet, Steenie, and Sarina the ability. In my opinion, this ability isn't bad, but I would prefer to run a Slurpuff that has Unburden, or a Sarina that has Queenly Majesty. Overall, I feel like this ability isn't ever used because of its hindering factor, as all 3 lines of Pokemon that get it have better, more practical abilities. Sure, being immune to being put to sleep by your opponent is nice, but not being able to use Rest on a Pokemon that is bulky like Slurpuff is a large hindrance to the ways that Slurpuff can be set up in RU, its main competitive tier. Symbiosis, the signature ability of the Flabebe line and technically Oranguru, it's yet to be released for it. This ability allows the user to pass its item to a Pokemon that has already used up its item. When I see Florges used competitively, which is rarely, it may be using this ability, but the ability it uses doesn't really matter in singles because both Symbiosis and its other ability Flower Veil only take effect in double or triple battles. And of course, the only other Pokemon that gets this ability, that being Oranguru, can't have this ability without hacking it onto it as of the making of this video, making the ability Symbiosis unseen and unknown in single battles. An ability that would definitely be more useful if more than literally one Pokemon got it is Toxic Boost. This functions similarly to Guts in that it boosts the Pokemon's attack stat by 50% when the Pokemon has a status condition. When Zangoose, the only Pokemon that gets this ability, is poisoned, its attack is boosted by 50%. The lore behind it having this ability is interesting because Zangoose's arch nemesis is Seviper, a poison-type Pokemon. This ability might have been a cause of the Zangoose species adapting to the poison that Seviper uses, turning its poison into more firepower, but who except the developers know. Overall, Toxic Boost is simply put just a worse version of Guts, because with Guts, the Pokemon that gets the attack boost from any major status condition except Freeze, of course. Moving on. It's a bit smoky in here. Maybe I should have turned my oven off before I left for that trip. If I did, then this room wouldn't be filled with white smoke. Oh well. White Smoke, the signature ability of Torkoal and later given to Heatmor, is an ability that prevents all other Pokemon from lowering the user's stats. Again, another case of a great ability that is underrepresented. I see Torkoal used sometimes in competitive, but it is usually on Sun teams and running Drought instead of White Smoke. Heatmor, on the other hand, is a Pokemon many people forget about, resulting in little usage in the competitive scene, if at all. Wonder Skin is the final released ability I'll talk about today, and it makes status moves more likely to miss, dropping their accuracy by 50%. This is a pretty good ability, but the Pokemon that get it are, you guessed it, underused, and I don't necessarily mean in competitive play. And 4 of the 5 have it as their hidden ability, those being Venomoth, Skitty, Delcatty, and Bruxis. Sigilyph is the sole carrier of this ability that is not a hidden ability. I don't have really much else to say about this ability other than, of course, more Pokemon should get it. I wanted to save this last ability for the end, because in my opinion, it is truly the most unknown Pokemon ability to exist, much more than any others on the entirety of the 2 parts of this list. Cacophony is an ability that makes the user avoid sound-based moves, meaning it is the exact same as Soundproof. And no, I didn't crop this picture at all. Cacophony is exclusive to Generation 3 and cannot be acquired by normal means. No Pokemon get this ability, so it's only up to speculation as to what Pokemon were planned to have this ability. My guess is that this ability was planned and programmed before Soundproof, so the Whismur line probably would have had it. Well guys, that's gonna do it for all forgotten and unknown abilities. I had a lot of fun making both parts of this list, and I have plans for future videos that will be released not too far in the future. Again, I hope you learned something today because I know that I definitely did. If you're new to my channel, subscribe and turn notifications on to know when new videos are released. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and why not share with a friend. Thanks for watching guys, have a fantastic rest of your day, and remember, whatever you do today is just fine as long as you aren't harming yourself or others.